This is a First and 10 Monday on Coaching Football with Brian Clee. This video will be about game planning with an odd stack against a Flexbone that uses a tight end. I put a link to the offensive game planning in the description down below. Check it out sometime if you haven't already. The defense that the Flexbone was game planning against in the offensive video ended up having a 90 tech linebacker that, in my opinion, on that split end side is essentially wasted anytime the offense does something to the tight end side. So pre-motion, pre-snap alignment, I think you want to just slide the backers and stack them up like a 50, a 0, a double 0, and a 50 with those stacked linebackers. That's how I would align pre-motion. Their keys right now, that zero linebacker, that middle linebacker, I'm going to put him on the fullback. That's going to be his primary key. If the fullback steps one way, he's going to underkey that guard. If that team even has misdirection, if the fullback steps the other way, he's going to underkey that guard to confirm and start seeing open and closed windows, make sure there's not some sort of hole. The 50 tech linebackers, I think in some way, shape, or form, you have them key the slots. You can have them cross key. So I get some sort of motion at me. I know I'm filling my C or B gap off of my 4 technique, off what my 4 technique is doing. If that guy is insert blocking, that means it's some sort of midline, maybe zone dive, I'm going to become a cutback player on the fullback. If that guy's arc blocking, I'm again a cutback player, going to start pursuing downhill, fullback to perimeter. If you don't cross key, I think you could just straight key with those 50 techniques. If you don't want to key offensive linemen or anything, that motion starts away. My eyes snap to the next back. I'm keying that fullback. That guy comes straight at me. I'm working to the perimeter. And again, it depends a little bit what that 9 technique is doing. I'm going to adjust off what that 9 technique does, but I'm just going to match that. I get an insert. I'm going to go fit that with my inside shoulder making contact, keep my outside shoulder free. Again, depends on what that 4 and 9 technique is doing in front of me. The plays that I talked about in the offensive video, the reason I like this alignment is if they do something like outside veer right now, outside veer to the tight end side, which is the number one reason most Flexbone teams, they're getting into a tight end set or even a nasty split with their split end where he's like 4 or 5 feet off that tackle to run things like down or outside veer. So against outside veer, the reason I like this, you get that motion there. The free safety, I'd have him key both of the slots, both the number 2s. If he doesn't get motion, he's going to play his middle deep third and be able to help on that keeping that middle field closed. That's why you're a 1 high team if you're a 1 high team. If he gets motion, I'd have him key solely that motion slot, because if that motion slot continues, now he knows he can become part of the fit. He can help play action to that side. It's now a 2-back set. If that twirls back out, now he can protect the post coming from that side, and he can also become part of the fit that way. So we get some sort of full flow motion here, and they're running outside veer. What I like about it from a defensive standpoint, I would slant to this look, and in that slant, we're closing A gap with the nose, we're closing the backside B gap with the 4 technique, we got a trailer with the 9 technique. Our 4 technique, when we have him as a 4 technique, he's going to strike and win with his hips, swing his hips into that C gap. He's basically assuming he's getting a double team and he's going to be ready to react to something. All right, coach, they go inside veer. Well, we stepped straight into him. We're swinging our hips to the outside. We feel like we can redirect to the inside. And then on top of that, if a team does want to go inside veer and we're putting that 0 technique in the A gap, well, the fullback's at least hitting B gap, and depending on exactly what we got keying wise, as long as we can disrupt the release of that offensive tackle on inside veer, we feel like we're in good shape. So back to outside veer here, because that's what we had to stop, and that's what looked really good on the offensive video. So step, swing hips, and win into C gap, keeping hands on that tackle. That's going to draw a double team out of that tackle and tight end. We probably get a scoop. We're getting our scoops. Try and run through the scoops. Try and chase it down from behind. And now our zero tech linebacker, even if the guard does get up to him, which he should, I like the odds of our nose ripping across the center's face there a little bit. That becomes a matchup type deal. Who's better, that center or that nose? Who executes better? Even if that zero technique linebacker gets pinned there, that 4 technique and then the alignment of the 50 is going to keep that 50 clean. So quarterback goes to read. I would coach our 9 technique. If I'm playing with the 9 technique, in my opinion, he's not the force player anymore, especially when he gets a down block against a veer team. He's going to take the fullback. That slot arcs out. That slot now has to check for that 50 technique linebacker. The offense no longer has leverage on him. So that 50 tech linebacker, he scrape exchanges. That arc has to be super tight. And it becomes an issue. How well did his coach him up to do that? And I said that free safety is going to keep motion. If that motion goes past the fullback, he can become part of the fit. I'd get his eyes to the new number 2, which is that tight end. The corner would have eyes on that slot, who's becoming the new number 1. Most likely, I'd have these guys run cover 2 essentially to that side. And what that lets us do is that corner can play the pitch, 50 technique gets the linebacker, and free safety becomes a bonus guy. If you get the zero technique, he really doesn't, he's the B-gap player. If you get him over top of the guard, it's complete lights out. You've got way more hats to the ball than the offense has when you're defending outside veer. So now, if they get on balance, I think you still bump the linebackers. You slide them a little bit more to the strength. Instead of a 0, let's go with the 20 there. Instead of a 50, let's go to the 30. It's not quite pre-snap motion, but they put a number over there pre-snap. I'd man up the corner there, and largely we can keep the keys the same, where the 60 and 30 technique are still keying slots. That 20 could still be married to the fullback. And now you got to make a choice. Are you still going to slant or not? I'd like to keep slanting. That 4 techniques through the outside half of that tackle, swinging his hips into C gap. The 0 techniques going to that strong side. And the reason I'm doing this is if they come back with mid triple or something like that, we're making sure the dive is not an issue by taking that 4 technique and slanting him. If they go again, they come back midline triple to that split end side. So now the counter that we were talking about by playing it this way. All right, motion starts. Our free safety, he'd be rocking. Motion goes all the way across. Now I want his eyes snap into the next receiving threat, which would be that slot. That's what I would be coaching him up to do all week long. We're rolling to that cover 2 that I was talking about. Whenever we get the motion there, all right, corner's down and he's matched on that. So now taking care of the counter blocking scheme. Again, that 4 technique by slanting to this tight end side. Something like counter, something like down that we'll get into in a second, in a little bit here. He's got to draw that double team, and if not, all right, maybe the tight end even gets a big wash on him. If he's squeezing that down block of the tackle, he's probably keeping the 20 technique clean. And right now that 60 technique is completely clean. So we can have our 9 tech. All right, they win against the nose, they got leverage. If they send the center back on the 4 technique and ask the fullback to get the 9 technique, that's really what they got to do to be sound. Otherwise, we're going to hip pocket this guard on the slant. Guard comes to kick, 9 technique spills, tackle is up in, if he spills around that 9 technique, we got him bracketed. The 60 can be outside, the 20 can be inside, and then on top of that, that slot comes back. That free safety should be able to put his foot in the ground and become an extra guy against counter GT. So now talking about defending down and rocket. Down, once they put that receiver out there, to me, probably the biggest reason I don't run odd stack, you need to break the stack at times. It's not the full defense. And if you are an odd stack guy and you don't break the stack, I'd love to talk to you and stuff, just to understand things better. To me, you need to break the stack when they're essentially getting into a legit trips type formation. And get it, the tight end is uncovered, but we still got to match numbers in the run game. I think the easiest way, I don't want to put the free safety there because he's not used to playing down. If we're a one high structure, if we're an odd stack team, and I don't want to walk the 9 technique out just because, to me, that 9 technique, he's been playing up on that tight end, he's on the line of scrimmage, he's making sure that C-gap bubble doesn't exist. So I'm going to break the stack, have one of my 2 50 techniques trained up playing in the apex zone. You got to probably be able to do that against 2x2 teams to an extent. Again, unless you're using your 9 technique to do that, but then you're sorting out the front in ways that I don't like, where you're having a stack guy come walk up on the line of scrimmage and stuff. And I think it's easier to go train a guy. All right, play in space, key the end man. What do you got coming at you? So they come with that full motion. Down block. Now the down blocks are not as clean. Getting to that 30 technique by slanting with that motion, that C-gap is just not clean. You don't have, this linebacker doesn't have a great way to get up to that 30 technique. That 4 technique's in the way. Again, we're going to step, strike, swing our hips into that C-gap, but keep hands on that tackle. And that tackle is going to be able to disrupt that release to that 30 technique linebacker, who is married to that fullback. So that fullback slide steps for the down. That's going to be a little different path than what it would typically be on midline track or even an inside veer track. That 30 technique linebacker is going to be able to start to fill, the guard that the fullback stepped to, he's out too. So now that 30 technique has 2 keys telling him, hey, get your butt out to C-gap. I don't want the 9 tech to spill it. 30's looking for the open window, and he's outside. And then you still got extra help if the ball continues to spill. That 30 technique should get help late from his outside backer. All the time, this 30 technique, whether he's keying slot or fullback, that slot or opposite slot's gone. So he's keying either that slot or fullback. That slot goes in full motion. The next back is right here with that fullback. So he's keying that fullback for cutback. The perimeter's got to get ready for rocket. Off that look. So they got to honor that rocket and how their keys are blocking what's going on out there. So if we get an arc and an arc, or a switch and a switch, that backer's working to win outside. He's also going to funnel a vertical to his free safety that way. We get the full motion. The free safety's key off that full motion becomes that next eligible receiver, which if it's twins over like it is here, where the split end's on, tight end's on, it's going to be that slot receiver. Fullback's away. This is where maybe keying that fullback becomes a little bit of a problem for that middle linebacker. So his eyes would snap to that guard. And here's the other reason I like that slant. If I'm stepping into that tackle and swinging my hips and working into that C-gap, I'm going to engage that tackle. That 9 technique really fights the reach. And hopefully we run this thing all the way to the sideline. We do a great job with that. Linebacker is going to be a step slow, eventually redirect, realizes where the play is going. Fullback, motion away. Again, that linebacker's probably slow with the keys that I had there. Eventually get working back. But I like how the 0 and the 4 technique on the slants are going to keep those linebackers clean. So when they do realize it's rocket over here, they put their foot in the ground, they get back into pursuit. And again, the key matchup is, does that 9 technique stretch that tight end at least as far as that slot receiver? That closes off this alley. The ball has to go wider. That backer is really working hard to cross the face there. Again, he's trying to maybe leverage either that guy out into the corner's deep third, or if he crosses face, he can leverage a vertical route back to that free safety on rocket. And the best part about breaking the stack here is if a team jumps between different eligible receivers, now you got things covered. Somebody tries tries to catch you not covering up a receiver as a one high team. I think if you're breaking the stack for trips type things, you're putting yourself in a spot where you're at least going to have guys in the general area where a vertical route potentially happens, which is probably the single biggest reason I don't love running one high. So now one high to the split end side, midline triple. This is why I like slanting, as I mentioned up front. That's going to put that 4 technique in the B gap. He's going to be closing on the fullback dive. The 0 technique is going to get washed a little bit. But we should be able to keep, because of that, we're going to keep 3 over 3 on the side that midline triple's happening. So we get that twirl motion. 50 techniques again, keying those slots in some way, shape, or form. This free safety, I would have him again married to the motion. That motion comes, he's not going to rock hard with the motion. He's going to confirm where that motion is going. We get that twirl motion. He knows to start working back this way. Again, looking for post next receiver to the motion side, ends up being that split end, and the crack seam comes. We'll talk about it later. He's going to be in great position. If a crack does actually happen, he can now work his crack replace, which is what I anticipate a midline triple team doing after that twirl motion. The 0 tech linebacker, he's married to that fullback, so he'd have to be inside that guard's down block. Outside of it, it'd be the 4 technique, so we should be able to take away the fullback with that. We've got backside cutback help with that 50 technique linebacker. That fullback gets tackled by the 4 technique, or the middle linebacker. He can continue to pursue to the play side. That 9 technique on his slant, he's in position to make sure he takes the quarterback away if this was actually maybe inside veer. And now to get to that pitch, we've got the crack replace out of the free safety. Corner's got to leverage, and he's going to be soft there. But that crack replace out of the free safety, the 50 tech linebacker, we've got enough guys to go match that on the perimeter. And if it's to the field, maybe we got to do something where we're rolling into cover 2, which I don't like as much because that free safety has to get moving a little bit more. But off of that, you can have the free safety work into a cover 2 deal, still want to be inside leverage of a possible crack seam, so he's got to be keying that split end, and now that corner can play a little hard to trigger, and ultimately that's turning into a 2-back set on that side. So now the play action. This is why I want to avoid going with a true hard cover 2 over there if I can against that midline triple. If they're beating you at some point, I think you got to give that corner a green light to leverage it, make sure he turns it back to pursuit from the box. You get that twirl motion, get the crack seam. Safety's going to play in the middle of both the seams. Corner's going to split his seams. Other corner, play in the middle of both those. Ideal world, that's what's happening, I guess, if you're a cover 3 team. With both slots out, I do think there's a decent chance that 50 technique plays underneath that tight end, maybe widens that tight end to the corner a little bit. And then kind of same deal here, there's a decent chance you get a little bit of a reroute out of that 50 technique, and he either can put his foot in the ground and help out to the wheel, or play underneath that seam. Just depends on what you want to coach that guy up to do, who's the bigger threat, the split end or the slot. Most of the time, linebackers, in my experience coaching, they're worried about that guy that was potentially a running back for a second. They're worried about that guy who's going to block them. He probably works out and plays the shorter route, which lets that corner squeeze that seam just a little bit more. But I'd want to train that corner up. Hey, you're playing inside both those guys. You're not letting something out leverage you to the outside. If you do get two verticals at some point, carry both and play the deeper one. Let them complete that wheel. If that's what we give up, you're letting them complete that wheel. You're trusting either your 50 technique or somebody else to get out there and help a little bit. Counter option. We're going to make sure this thing gets pitched with our slant. We're not giving the quarterback a chance to keep it, which is something that I really like. Again, the nose is wasted on these slants. The nose is wasted going to the weak side, but I think you're going to be okay getting hands on that guard with the 4 technique. There's our counter motion. That's why I want the free. He's married to that motion. That motion comes back. Again, you pick. Are you staying cover 3 over there? Are you rolling cover 2? Bottom line, that free safety can now key and help out over that way. Fullback steps away. All right, he's reading the guard. If that guard comes back, if that guard gets into my nose, well, that's the A gap over there. It's closed. Redirect and find the first run through. Can I maybe, before the counter option gets out, can I maybe run through that A gap on the point of attack? This 50 technique, he's keying whichever slot he's keying. He gets that SEMO. He knows he becomes a cutback player. He's keying that slot. He can check for cutback, which again lets that 0 technique. That's his open A gap. That's what he can be honest with. You wouldn't have to step away. You could be really. I'd want that 0-0 to be step into his A gap while he reads that fullback and confirms, does that gap get closed by my nose? Does that gap get closed by my 50 technique? And now I'm downhill and I can be working to the outside. Troll motion, or if it's cross key, I know I can get out with that slant, both the B and C gaps closed. I can be the pitch guy. That's going to make the crack block more drastic out of that split end, which is going to let either the corner or that free safety confirm, all right, crack replace, come down. We should be able to get 2 guys up to the ball leveraging the pitch. And then the last play, outside veer to that weak side. The offense is going to get the same thing if they're coached up to block the B gap and double team the B gap defender. They're going to get that 4 technique washed. The nose is going to run into the scoop. And again, the slant's not helping a ton to the weak side here against outside veer. 0 tech linebacker though, he steps up. Fullback stepping to him. His guard's double teaming. Maybe you hit the A gap run through, or if that 4 technique gets washed, you scrape just a little bit outside. And the slot. All right, we get the 0 technique closed off. We're slanting though. We're going to get the quarterback to pull because that 9 technique is part of the slant on that side. We get the motion here. Free safety is keying that motion across the midline. I am now looking for crack replace. I get the crack on that 50 technique linebacker. Nothing's threatening my post. I can be the crack replace guy off of that, or again, you could be rolling to a cover 2. You get the crack. He brings it. He's on pitch, and that 50 technique, B gap closed, C gap closed. He's on quarterback. You've got 1, 2, 3 guys for all 3 parts of the triple option on outside veer. In my experience as an offensive line coach in a Flexbone system, take away that dive first, take away the quarterback second, and see how much their quarterback has worked on pitch and how well he's been coached to pitch. how many reps he's actually had to do that, get that ball to that slot receiver, unless that slot receiver is just absolutely the most dangerous guy. And then you maybe mix in some stunts and some things to make sure you're changing up who's getting the ball between that quarterback and pitch player. But you have to take away that fullback, and I think playing 50, 0-0, 50 stacked up and reacting to the slot motions with those 50 techniques and the free safety controlling the middle of the field, and then putting that 0-0 technique on that fullback, making sure he's your best linebacker. Otherwise, you maybe shouldn't be in an odd stack type deal. So there's my thoughts on using an odd stack to defend Flexbone with the tight end.
If you think it would be fun to participate in a 1st and 10 Monday in some way, shape, or form, whether that is you presenting an offensive formation or two and how you would go about game planning against how I would try to defend that, and I'm going to exchange some ideas about how we're going to game plan to defend that offensive concept and those formations, or if you want to flip that script and you want to have me present an offensive formation or two and some offensive concepts and how we're going to game plan for how you would go about trying to defend us, and you're exchanging your ideas about how to put together a defensive game plan to stop that, that'd be great. There's my contact information. Hit me up on Twitter, leave a comment down below, or shoot me an email.